I know gravity ain't an excuse, I just wanna make things a little more smooth. Majority is still asleep, they're tired of those dreadful dreams. Now let me shout and wake you up, let me wake you up. When the sunset dives, the sky's so bright, she freaks me out with a secret smile. Stars above, start to shine for miles and miles. I wonder why, is this a curse or just a heart? No one river where those flowers flow. I know you can stop it, slow on a whip, so I have learned to swim until the time is up. Can't give up on you before the time is up. I leave all my regrets between the lines and lines. I am lost again until this time is up. I'll never give this up until this time is up. I can't give up on you before the time is up. I leave all my regrets between the lines and lines. I am lost again until this time is up. I'll never give this up.
Hello everyone and welcome to a new Outriders video. Today I'm going to share with you one of my favorite new builds, one of the fastest I found, for the Pyromancer, using Anomaly Power as our main attribute, and one of the most, I think, underrated tier 2 mods, the Untamed Power. Let's have a closer look at our gear. You can see all the pieces in the background, and ideally we need the head, the chest and the legs of the Akari. These 3 out of 5 pieces are the only ones with Anomaly Power, and the gloves and the boots we need something with Anomaly Power, cooldown reduction and status power. The mods we are using are the Fire Tsunami, Branded is one of our new best additions, Detonator, Untamed Power is the whole purpose of the build, Anomaly Echo, Tidal Wave, Pants on Fire, Fire Frenzy, and for our survivability, the Damage Absorber and Rejuvenation was actually pretty helpful in many occasions, and I highly recommend it for early builds. The weapons I'm using are 2 assault rifles because they have very decent range, accuracy and reload speed, with status power as one of the attributes, and our primary weapon has the resistance breaker and death chains for the mods, and the secondary weapon has the claymore and death chains for some more single target DPS. The ideal weapon is of course the Deathshield with a tier 3 OA mod such as the Shadow Comment, but in case you do not have that, don't worry about it, use the weapons as suggested or something similar because the build performs pretty well even without the Deathshield, and all the gameplay you saw in the background and you will see henceforth is done without the Deathshield. For our skills we're using the Heatwave, the Thermal Bomb and the Overheat with very nice cooldowns thanks to the Tempest tree that we focus to lower the cooldown of the Thermal Bomb and the Overheat. We take also the Phoenix Nestling for some more survivability and to take full advantage of the Untamed Power because honestly we're not a melee focused build, although we need to go in melee range for maximum efficiency, and let's look into that. Untamed Power, which is one of our biggest sources of DPS, works quite easy. Every time we use our skills or melee attack, it deals damage equal to 30% of our total Anomaly Power to all enemies within 5 meters. We have 2 charges of Heatwave, 2 charges of Thermal Bomb and 1 charge of Overheat thanks to our mods, and of course we can use in between our melee attack to trigger as many times as we can the Untamed Power mod because honestly it's our biggest source of DPS. Our rotation is quite simple. 1 or 2 hit waves and hit as many enemies as you can to get a maximum Anomaly Power boost. If too many enemies are close by, focus your attention on one of the alphas or one of the heavier enemies for 1 or 2 thermal bombs and make sure they explode for maximum AoE damage. If you face a boss or a heavy enemy 1-to-1, focus your attention on them, throw them 2 thermal bombs for maximum damage debuff because they will take 80% extra damage and blow in their face their overheat, your melee attack, shoot them with your weapon in between to lower their resistances far by 35%, and although this is one of the best tactics, it also has some drawbacks because you need to know how to approach some enemies and then not die. You have to be extra careful when you face brute mothers, brute guardians, brute queens, the big brute anyway, and you have to consider that in most cases alphas will be present, and those are a little dangerous as well. So you have to prioritize those, try to bait them and lure them all together, use your heat wave, your thermal bombs and overheat together, because 5 activations will be 5 Untamed power activations and 1 from your melee 6. Even the alphas won't be able to survive this onslaught, and if you kill them fast enough you have to face only the brute mother and brute queen, and at that point you just have to be careful for her melee attacks in close range, avoid those, look for an opening, and if you are afraid just go from range. 2 thermal bombs to debuff her for 80% more damage, shoot your heat waves, your overheat and your weapons from range, and if you want to finish her quicker, look for an opening. Try to provoke her, move a little close and she will do a very specific scream, move away to avoid 2 following attacks, run closer, use your overheat to stun her for a brief moment, thermal bomb, melee attack, heat wave, overheat, melee attack, and that should do about 50% of her health damage thanks to the Untamed power mode. Some other things you need to be aware of is, in case you want to make sure thermal bomb explodes when you fire it in enemies in close range, hit an alpha, an elite, a breacher, something that has more hit points, because Untamed power does so much damage that can kill your target before thermal bomb connects and you will lose the explosion. Be careful when you try to shoot your thermal bomb in close range, because I think this is a bug. Every time you try to hit an enemy and you get interrupted by getting hit or getting knocked back, you will lose both charges without doing any damage. Fortunately, it doesn't happen as often because I currently don't have any footage from it. And finally, you can use the combination of thermal bomb and overheat to deal massive amount of damage to a group in long range. As long as you hit a weak enemy and your overheat will be able to one-shot him, the rest of the group will be decimated by the explosion. That's basically the playstyle of the whole build. You have to be a little more aggressive, move close to melee range to bombard them with your skills and melee attack for maximum proccing of Untamed power, because honestly this mod was most of the times second highest damaging ability through our expeditions. You will see now in the background the results. The downside of the build is the survivability compared to the Firestorm specialization. We don't have as much armor, no other tier 2 mods proc from skill kills such as protection from the flames. You have to kill the enemy with your weapon, otherwise it doesn't work. That's why I had to add the rejuvenation, it helped a little bit with the survivability, and apart from that we have the Phoenix Nestling for a second chance of life every 30 minutes. In my opinion, the build is worth a risk, it's one of the best, it's very fast, the burst damage is insane. If you find yourselves in groups of enemies, spam your skills and melee attack, Untamed power will just decimate all the enemies, and it also has one major advantage, all the skills can be fired from cover. So you can take advantage of that, shoot your skills from cover in case you get overwhelmed by heavy enemies and alphas, and if you are behind cover and the enemies are close by, even Untamed power will do damage to them. So you can find very good strategies to deal with enemies with a minimum risk. I forgot to mention one of my favorite advantages of the build is how easy you can deal with the Jefferson starships. I refer to the big birds that are the big Jefferson starships and the insect-like thingies that are the small ones, and especially the birds, 2 thermal bombs and 1 overheat. It's most of the times enough to bring them down, and it's when the party starts. You charge in so the Untamed power will hit them, melee attack, heat wave, overheat, your thermal bombs will be back so you can spam those, and there is no hope that they can survive the onslaught of your attacks in close range, and it's just so satisfying that they die with no hope and without anything else to do in the air. They're very annoying, sorry. And that was the build. Although the learning curve is a little bit higher compared to other builds because you need to find your openings, but the selling point for me was the insane burst damage and very low timers for the expeditions I needed, and I had a lot of fun. It's very fun to just move in melee range and kill everything, and it's so satisfying to just see the alphas that jump you die from the procs from your Untamed power. If you run with a group and you don't have any more trouble with your survivability, you can replace the rejuvenation with either the burnout mode, so enemies take 25% extra damage, or an extra use of your hit wave. And of course you can do the same if you find yourself in solo and don't die as easy and you don't see the rejuvenation is necessary. I hope you like this build, and feel free to leave your comments in the section below in case you have any more ideas to improve it without adding so many more tier 3 modes if possible. Thank you very much for watching. You can subscribe for more upcoming videos for Outriders and other video games, and have a wonderful day everyone.
Cause I'm on my way. I don't care about imaginary boundaries, but somehow I'm afraid to go over them. Cover up scars and memories. Creativity is all that I got, so let me shout and wake you up. Let me wake you up. While the clouds I dance on a new moon